I'm Julio Sainz along with Mauricio Riveros. Today we'll meet two young entrepreneurs who are innovating marketing strategies.
You will be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community, we'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Laura and Mike, thank you very much for being inspired. A show that we developed to inspire our community, to interview people who are developing businesses. And I think in your case is one of the best examples. You just starting a business, and we said, we want them in the program. So let's start with Laura. Tell us about you and about your story.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having us. I have a diverse background, a lot of different experiences across my career. And upon returning to Rochester, found a home in brand marketing specifically. And that's where we met and really found a lot of synergy with what we do in marketing strategy. But it was a personal purpose that brought about Mesh and Movement, and that was an idea I had about a charitable sort of experience I wanted to bring to Rochester. And that really is what ignited the idea that if we start our own business, we could actually balance a purpose-led idea to give back to our community with the time we want to cultivate in our professional careers as marketing strategists.
How about you, Mike?
So I'm from just down the thruway outside of Syracuse. My background is a little bit more straightforward. I've spent almost my entire career working at ad agencies on the client relationship side of things. As Laura said, we met about just over 4 years ago now at a creative agency here in Rochester. We worked together for 3 years at that agency, leading strategy and business for some of their biggest accounts. And when Laura told me about the idea that she had, she originally wanted to create a not-for-profit, and I told her that it was a crazy idea, and if she started a for-profit business, I would join her, and then we would dedicate as much of our time and effort as we could to giving back to the community in a charitable way.
Very good. And do you guys focus on a particular type of business, or what kind of services do you offer? Go ahead.
So we do everything from brand strategy foundation. We really found a niche for helping companies articulate their purpose. And that's really the approach that we take as a foundational piece to building marketing strategy from there. We bring everyone to one central articulation that everyone across an organization can stand behind. And then how that translates to creative marketing messaging strategy, communication strategy. What we found, to your question on what type of businesses we work with, just in our 1 year of developing Mesh and Movement, we've somehow attracted a lot of clients that all have purpose and connection at their core. So even though they might span everything from community organizations through technology, applications, developers, for whatever reason, we've been a magnet for other companies who share a lot of the same values that we have in terms of connection and giving back through purpose. So.
And right now we are living in a very interesting moment of history where technology and innovation and social media is really creating these new synergies and new possibilities to brand companies, to present companies, to put the voice out. So what are the advice and what do you guys do in terms of technology and in terms of supporting to brand companies and do marketing strategies with social media?
It's a good question. There's so much information that can come and go from a company, and I think where our sweet spot is with our clients is we unify our clients around their purpose before we decide where their message needs to meet their customers in the world. So we do a lot of foundational strategy work to make sure the entire company is aligned and understands the work that we've done together, and they become the media first. So we make sure that our company's employees can bring that message to the world, and then we decide with our clients how best we can take that to the masses. Very typically it involves social and digital channels, And I think, these days that's probably a really great way for clients to take their message to the world. It's cost effective, tons of reach, there's a lot of opportunity to use technology in really fascinating ways these days. Specifically, AR and VR are a great example of technology innovation, just allowing for better storytelling, better engagement. There's awesome tools for our clients to use.
And I think that's where consumers are expecting to find those stories. So where consumers and brands meet the world follows the habits of how we communicate with one another as individuals. So for a brand to tell their story in the same fashion that people tell their own stories. So it does follow that trend of digital and that technology space.
So you guys, are you guys involved with content marketing a bit?
In the past, we've done a lot of content strategy, and I think the key thing that we do is find that foundational place that then extends itself into content strategy or messaging strategy and communication strategy. We don't necessarily make the end product of creative. We make sure that everyone is aligned on what that end product is going to do and what the key role for it is.
Very often in our work, though, we're collaborating with another consultant or creative agency, or even if we're working directly with a client, there's a creative entity involved that ultimately will make stuff to put in the world. So I think with every one of our clients, eventually there is a creative execution. We just stop most of our work before.
But you help them get the
Absolutely.
the brand and how that all align. And I think that's important for the folks watching the show and the small business owners to understand that can't be haphazard with it. You guys help them set that strategy so that it's consistent and builds the brand, as you guys mentioned.
It's very true. A lot of people are telling their own brand stories, and a lot of that happens inside the organization. They don't have not every company has the means to work with an outside agency. So what we do is arm our clients with the tools so that everyone on their team knows, depending on the channel that they're operating in, how do I say this? What is the purpose of this communication? And giving them that plan for connecting with their audience on the other side.
The articulation that we give our clients more often than not drives decisions that are above and beyond marketing or communications. A lot of our clients use our work to drive organizational growth, organizational change, hiring and firing, sales strategies. So, again, the foundational strategy can really serve a lot of masters when it comes to serving the organization.
So there is a more holistic approach. It's not just the marketing aspect, but it's also inside the organization, really touch the essence of what the message needs to be around whatever purpose is and what is the goal. So that seems like it's a completely different approach of what will be called traditional marketing approach, and that's very valuable. Now, the part that is intriguing to me is the not-for-profit aspect. So tell us a little bit how that works, because traditionally marketing companies, organizations are private, they are for-profit, but how that works. You guys created a not-for-profit, so let's understand that.
So not technically a not-for-profit, just by the nature of our structure of the organization, but we're 1 year in, and we've spent this year really pursuing and discovering and telling the story of what we wanted to achieve with that charitable idea, and we're just at the point of now bringing it to life. So where it stands and what we want to bring to this community is a connecting meal experience that we've created a narrative of connection that we feel can allow people to connect with themselves, each other, and the moment around a table. So we use a meal as a format to surface connections between people. We work with caterers and event spaces to create these bespoke experiences. And what we felt was really important for this community in particular is that connecting experience that people can have with one another. Maybe they don't know them, maybe they do, around the table, can pay it forward to an audience in need. So we feel that there's a disconnect within the community, a level of awareness that needs to happen between people who can come together and choose which charity or which nonprofit would get the proceeds of their meal experience. So connection at the table that pays it forward through the proceeds of the meal to an audience in need, and a level of awareness for different organizations within our community that need that.
I think what's been most exciting and rewarding for us is in this past year we've met so many people through this endeavor. So creating an experience where somebody can come in and enjoy the moment for themselves, connect with a stranger, connect with an organization they might not have known of before, and then see their impact right away on that organization. Through the couple of test experiences that we've held, we heard a lot of feedback that people met individuals that they didn't know and learned about organizations that they hadn't known about before. So we're really excited about the opportunity to connect a lot of people and organizations within the community.
And your idea for your business and what you're about is very unique. At what point did you realize you wanted to own your own business? Was this something that was always in the background, or there was a moment later on that really inspired you to start your own project?
I think there was an immediacy to it for me. I don't think I ever would have imagined a year ago that I'd be here telling this story today. It really was a wake up in the middle of the night sort of idea that had that meal experience at the heart of it. And I thought, how can I build a nonprofit around my 9-to-5 job, or how could I shape something? And the immediacy was, I think I need to pursue an opportunity that gives me the room and flexibility to see where this might go. So it wasn't an intention. It was real fast and just kind of went for the leap, almost blind, really. So.
It's funny, looking back, we did kind of jump into things. We had no business plan. We just had an idea.
I wouldn't recommend for the audience.
We had no business plan, but we worked together for 3 years, and we really have great complementary skills. So we just kind of dove into it with a lot of passion and heart. But it's funny, my wife says to me all the time, I always knew that you would be great running your own business. So I guess the signs were there for me, but it wasn't a plan. It just kind of came up quickly, and we decided what better time than now to do it.
That's interesting, Buddy. So over the years, we've had people that from the time they were a little kid, they were sure they wanted their own businesses, and then sometimes we have people who, hey, it just happened in the middle of the night.
It's hard work,
right?
Really hard work. There's a lot of things that you hear about owning your own business that sound great, and there's a lot, we don't really have time off. We're kind of always there, and we try really hard to set some boundaries to be with our families, but it's not easy. So hats off to anybody that is doing this or has done this. It's not an easy task.
Well, thank you both. We'll be back with more after these messages. From your experience, maybe some of the organizations you've worked with, what are some of the most common mistakes that small businesses or organizations, any size, make as far as their branding and the marketing?
That's a good question. I'd say consistency and almost an attention span. Brand development takes time, and I think we live in a world where we want instant gratification. If you think about your cell phone, you have a question, you go on and Google, and you get the answer pretty quickly. But to build a brand the right way takes years at times. So I think it's that willingness to not do the right thing consistently over time and wait to see the results.
I would also say it has to be based on who you are as a company and what's true to who you are. I think a lot of times brands will establish what they think is the right thing to say, but if it's not represented within your people, if it's not a true part of your DNA and who you actually are, how your clients see you, how your customers see you, it's just going to feel like a surface story. When people really adopt and embrace your story, it's because it's inherent within you. So taking the time to understand who you are, and that's really why we take the approach that we do with our clients. Everything starts from surfacing that true story of where they begin and really finding the connections within their own story. We often say they know their brand. We're just there to lift it out of them and
Sure.
put it on paper and articulate it.
So here you are 1 year into owning your own business. What advice would you give our audience as far as balancing home and work?
question. It took us about a year to really get into a good habit of balancing it. I know for myself, I was, always on my smartphone, always checking in with clients or colleagues, and this past year has been great. It made me realize that, I have a wife and 2 kids, and I'm not going to get back the time with them. And we just are really open and honest with our clients that we have families and lives, and all of our work and family make up our life, and they each have a role in it. So we just are forward with our clients that, our day stops at some point and we're with our family. And so I would say it's really important to just understand what you want out of your work-life balance and be clear about that with everybody that you work with.
Setting the right expectations. And I think we have the luxury and the freedom of, most people think new business owner, you must be working around the clock, but actually working for ourselves, we've had conversations on, as we grow, it's up to us to define the culture and how we want our own team to feel and what obligations they have between us and their own personal lives. And you can't come to the table and contribute with inspiration and passion and creativity if you don't have the balance of what actually is the source of those things for you. So it's been deliberate for us to, I think the first 6 months we got to set ourselves up, and then we realized it's up to us to set the patterns now and set the right behaviors. So we're pretty deliberate about it now.
I love when consultants or experts are working in their own internal strategy or in their own fabrication, if you want. What's the identity of your organization? How you can define the identity of who you are?
We've done a lot of work around this over the past year, and we've finally come to a place that we think is really clear on who we are. We surface information to move people in a unified spirit, and that principle or that purpose that we've identified is true for anything and everything that we do, whether it's marketing or brand strategy with a client or trying to build a charitable offering for our community. And we put almost everything that we do, I'd say everything that we do actually, through the lens of, is this an opportunity for us to put people or groups around a table, surface information, unify them, and move them forward in a productive way?
We're driven by connection, really.
And I love that element. Is clearly your mission is create synergies. And your mission is to bring everybody, and I love that image, everybody on the table sharing the meal, creating that element of culture, and that's why culture eats a strategy. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't have a good culture, that's the end. And I think it's fundamental. Now, Julio, you have been in marketing strategies for years, but this is very particular.
Sure, yeah, and it's, I think, the idea of being around or being focused on not so much a for-profit, but also, being conscious of the community and how you can impact is definitely something you see a lot of these days. A lot of companies are doing that, and I think it's really authentic, and I commend you both. I think it's a great idea for what you guys are deciding to do and how you're deciding to structure what you're doing. Do you find any of your clients are interested in sort of community engagement or causes as well?
Yeah.
Actually, our most recent client is the organization Rock 2025. We're working with 2 other local creative agencies, Dixon Schwabel and Optic Sky, and the 3 of our organizations are working to brand and market the Rochester region in partnership with Rock 2025. And they're all about, obviously, community and bringing groups together for a united purpose. But beyond that, almost all of our clients, when we talk to them about what we're doing from a charitable standpoint, are interested and offer advice or want to participate in it. Our very first test experience was about 20 of our clients and partners. It was the first meal experience that we did, and we brought them all together around a table. Some people knew each other, some people didn't. And through that experience, I think there was 4 or 5 new business relationships formed. There was a couple groups went on to make their own not-for-profit and do some work for that. And there's just a lot more that's coming out of that every day.
Laura and Mike, you really have inspired me because I get super excited, Julio, when I see people in your generation going out and really thinking, dreaming, and pushing for a better Rochester. And that's what it's about. That's how we will build a great community. That's how Rochester will become one of the best places, which is already an incredible place to live. Yeah. But I want to say thank you very much for taking the risk and going out. And I am sure that in the future we will have you in the program again to see the progress. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Coming up next week on Be Inspired, we'll meet Beth Myers, the owner of an innovative leadership development company. To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/beinspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Poder 97.1, Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Sáenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.